Welcome back to another MOTOBOB video, and today Norton announced a brand new naked cafe racer concept bike called the V4CR. It's due to be unveiled in the flesh at Motorcycle Live next week, and it's the first fully new model since the TVS takeover. Personally, I think it looks ridiculously good, and so in this video I'll tell you absolutely everything that we know so far. Now, Norton have said that this new V4 cafe racer is the rebellious younger brother to the V4 SV, sharing the same superbike DNA, but differing in attitude and emotion. So it'll come as absolutely no surprise that a lot of the spec and hardware is the same, just with some fairings removed and some tweaks to the styling. But despite that cafe racer name, obviously this is not going to be a competitor for the Royal Enfield Continental GT or even the Triumph Thruxton. It's really more of a high-end super naked, and so it'll be up against the other premium offerings in that market like the Ducati Street Fighter V4S or the MV Agusta Brutale 1000RR. At the heart of it, we've got the same 1200cc 72-degree V4 as the V4 SV, and the performance figures are pretty decent. 185 horsepower at 12,500 RPM and 125 Newton meters of peak torque produced at 9,000 RPM. I say pretty decent because although that's more power than most of us could ever use on the road or track, it's a bit of a spec sheet bragging rights game when you get to this price level, and it's over 20 horsepower down on the competition. And you've also got the weight, so the SV is quoted at 193 kilograms dry, and yes, the cafe racer could be a little less without the bodywork, but still it's got its work cut out against the competition I mentioned. So it probably won't be the quickest bike off the mark, but look, this bike isn't just about out and out performance, but also being a highly desirable luxury product, and you can see that in the finish. Take the frame for example, handmade TIG welded aluminium and then polished up to a mirror finish for a truly striking appearance. And it's the same for the underslung single-sided swing arm, which is billet aluminium and again polished up to the max. Now they say it's built to handle as well, with the majority of the development done at the Isle of Man TT, and I assume it gets the same adjustable geometry as the V4 SV, so the rake, steering offset and swing arm pivot can all be dialed in to the rider's exact preference. And judging from the pictures, it appears to be more of a sports bike riding position than it does an easygoing naked. You've got a single seat setup, so no space for carrying a passenger, although I doubt you'd ever want to on a bike like this. But then you've got quite extreme looking clip-on bars that are going to get you right forward and over them. Now there is a disclaimer on the Norton website that both bikes are still in development and therefore subject to change, so perhaps the bars won't be quite so low at production, but we'll have to wait and see. Seat height for the SV is down at 836mm, so I'd expect pretty much the same here. Braking also looks to be identical, so Brembo's top spec 4-pot radially mounted monoblock style lemma calipers on 330mm Brembo discs, and there's also a Brembo radial master cylinder for more feel and crispness at the lever. At the rear, we've got a 245mm disc, and again that's from Brembo, as is the caliper and the master cylinder, so top drawer stuff, but you wouldn't expect anything less from a bike like this. And again, this is subject to change, but the suspension also looks to be identical, so a fully adjustable Öhlins NIX30 fork and a TTX GP shock, which is developed specifically for Norton, again with full mechanical adjustability. The bodywork is super premium too, with carbon fiber visible on the side panels, engine covers and belly pan, and there's also a carbon fuel tank with Kevlar reinforcement. Fuel capacity is said to be 15 litres. Now Norton say that the CR will be available in two finishes. The first one is the one in all the pictures called Manx Silver, but also a bare carbon finish will be an option, which I guess will look more like the carbon version of the SV, so basically blacked out. Now that version of the SV also gets some lightweight carbon wheels from BST, which look particularly nice, especially with that uninterrupted view from the single-sided swing arm at the rear. Like I say, no pics of the carbon cafe racer yet, but it would be nice to see the same option. Tyres appear to be Dunlop's GP Racer D212, which are road legal, but they're derived from their Isle of Man TT tyres, so they should be a good match for the performance that this bike looks like it can offer. Now in the electronics department, we've got a bit of info from the SV spec sheet, and from the look of the pictures, it seems like the cafe racer will get the same. So there's LED lighting all round with a particularly distinctive round retro headlight here, and then a 6-inch full-colour TFT display, which you can use to manage all of the riding modes and settings. modes. So we've got wet, road and sport modes to choose from, and they include cornering sensitive traction control as a minimum. Now I'd assume it gets an inertial measurement unit feeding the lean data in, so you'd think that the ABS would be cornering sensitive too, but we'll have to wait for the complete specs to find out. They also list an up and down quick shifter for the SV and a keyless ignition system with an electronic steering lock, although the fuel filler cap remains as a manual lock. Still pretty good and up there with what you'd expect from a modern day sporty naked. Price wise, I think we'll be looking more at the MV Agusta end of the spectrum than the Ducati. Just look at Norton's pricing over the recent years. Like I say, it's not going to be the top performer in terms of power and weight and whatnot, but if you're a fan of the Norton brand or the Isle of Man TT, then this could make for a very special bike to own. But as always, I'd love to know what you think of it down in the comments below. And if the money was in your pocket, which bike of the three I've mentioned would you go for? Let me know down in the comments, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.